Let me show you my altar to my animal spirits.
If you would like to learn about fairy folklore, delve into modern fairy faith spirituality, and explore fun and fanciful fairy-themed events, please subscribe to Fairy Fortunes for new videos every Friday.
Hello my fair friends, I'm Ruby Ruse, and welcome to Fairy Fortunes. On today's episode, I'd like to share with you one of my altars. I have actually a couple of different altars that I have in my home, but today I wanted to show you my animal spirit altar, which happens to be right next to one of my cat trees in the house. So this little motion that you see right here, this is my friend Bing the cat. So she's probably going to be joining us for my tour of my animal altar. I have been a magical practitioner for all of my life. However, I didn't really start down the pagan path until I attended college in Arizona. I was very fortunate to take an exceptionally interesting class called Human Movement in the Arts. And as a part of that curriculum, one of the things that we studied was the practice of totemism as it pertained to spirituality and how that spirituality affected artistry and dance and expression in humanity. And as an extra part of that class, the instructor introduced us to an animal spirit guide workshop. I will have links down below to what that practice was. I believe it was called Deep Imagery, which you can still find practitioners of this today. However, it does blend quite a few different traditions together, and that practice is somewhat frowned upon in the modern age. But being introduced to my animal spirits guides became a cornerstone of my magical practice. And that is something that has been very important to me, and I still go back to my animal spirits time and time again when I'm struggling, when I need information, sometimes even when I just need support. They provide companionship, they provide advice, and definitely it's a healing energy and a supportive energy that is very, very powerful and resonant to me. I kind of see animal spirits as ancestral spirits. These are spirits that are a part of this earth. They are teachers. I don't see animals as being beneath humans. I see animals as being different from humans. I believe that all animals have certain gifts that make them successful in their lives. I think that the attribute that humans demonstrate as a collective is our capacity to build. It's our capacity to think into the future and make plans and be creative. We do see creativity in other animals. We do see building in other animals, but I think that human beings, that's really the attribute that makes humans successful. So all animals have a particular collective gift. And so when I talk about animal spirits, you're kind of connecting to the essence of that animal. However, in my personal practice, the animal spirits that I work with I think are unique to me. They are a part of me and yet separate from me. It's a paradox that I really feel can't be explained outside of just a belief that I have and brings meaning to me. It's a personal mythology, if you will. So through the course of my years, I have collected certain effigies of my animal spirits, and this is something that my child has grown up with his entire life, and so he too has added several animals to this altar that I have. How I use this altar is I will sit here, I will light this owl lantern here that I have here, and I will meditate with the animal spirits. Usually I will have a conversation with one or two of the spirits. Also, one of my other altars is in the same room. If I'm doing a intense magical working, a lot of times I will also light this altar's candle because that way I'm inviting my animal spirits to be a part of my magical working. I started with working about 7 animal spirits. Now I've introduced about 2 more. I'll go through it. One of my animal spirits is the spirit of an owl. The owl was also very important to my Aunt Maddie, who is my mentor and a magical teacher for me. So some of these owls that I have are owls that were part of her collection. Did I purchase any of these owls? Hi, Crowley. Here's another one of my animal spirits. Live and in person. You want to say hello, Crowley Cat? This is Crowley. This is Crowley Cat. Hi, baby. One of my animal spirits happens to be a black cat or a black panther, maybe a cat Sith. They're really not communicating what they really are. They kind of like the mystery of that. So I've always wanted a little black cat, and when Crowley showed up into my life, it was just wonderful. What's interesting about Crowley is that cat Sith are said to have a white patch on their chest, and while hers is not very prominent, she does in fact have the marking of a cat Sith on her chest. So rock on for Crowley and me. My son probably also has a cat spirit that is with him, because what I believe is that our animal spirits are probably always with us, and they grow with us and walk with us. To me, they're a lot like guardian angels would be in many practices. So my son is also very drawn to cats, so this was gifted to him, and the first thing that he did when he got this, when he was very little, he was a toddler when he received this, was his first thing to do was to put it on the animal altar. Another one of my animal spirits is a kangaroo. And I do have a little kangaroo doll. I don't remember where I got this. I really have no idea. But I do have a little kangaroo. It's a little kangaroo toy rather than a sculpture like some of these other ones that I have. Of course, I can't do a video about my animal spirit guides without mentioning Bunny. Why is there a rabbit in my videos? How Fairy Fortunes began was I actually didn't start telling fortunes. I actually was just a performer. And I sang, of course, and I wrote the bunny song, which I will have linked for you down below because I actually have recorded it and shared it on this channel. And I became so associated with that song, and I did actually try to not have Bunny with me when I was performing, but I just became connected with Bunny. So the two of us are usually together all the time at every festival, and Bunny shows up in almost all of my videos. But what I do find interesting about Bunny is that bunnies and kangaroos have a very similar shape, and I'm wondering that when people associate rabbits and things with me, is that maybe they're associating kangaroos instead? But we're in America, so rabbits come to mind before kangaroos. I'm not really sure. But regardless, Bunny has become another animal spirit that is associated with me. I would have to say probably the rabbit has become kind of a familiar spirit to me. I always take the signs of seeing rabbits as good omens. I always pay attention when a rabbit makes an appearance. One of the animals that I've had a very difficult time finding an effigy for is a chipmunk. I don't know why that animal is so hard to find. I'm not really sure. So I don't have an effigy of a chipmunk on my altar. My son talked me into buying this little squirrel with a knife at a Renaissance fair. So he's very dangerous and very cute. So I do actually work with the squirrel energy, but squirrel and chipmunk are not the same thing, I will have you know. Another energy that I work with is wolf. Once again, I think that my son also has a wolf spirit that walks with him. It's been my impression that family members often have similar spirits. I also feel like when you have that kinship with a friend, I find those long-lasting, deep friendships, usually there's a connected animal spirit, a guardian spirit that walks together, and you recognize that in one another. This is actually wolf fur that was given to me by a friend. People just understand that these animals are important to me, and they're like, you know, I have this wolf fur, and I just feel like it should belong to you. The final animal that I work with is a dragon. However, when I first met this being, when I took this workshop for animal spirits in college, the dragon appeared first, but I was like, nope, I'm not working with that. So then it took the form of a beautiful cobra snake. And I have a lot of snake effigies. Once again, I think that my son has a guardian snake with him, or a dragon. So I have a lot of snake and dragon imagery on this altar. Another great piece that I have is actually in that same class of human movement in the arts. One of the projects that we had to do was create a mask. The mask that ended up taking shape for me was this dragon mask. So this lady was made, I think, in 1991. This is a mask of my face, actually, and the pattern that you see is all done with sequins. And I still use her to this day. I wear her in ritual circumstances sometimes. So I am very impressed that this has held up throughout those ages. She's been carted around several different places, and she's still going strong. Most of these items have come from friends and family and important people in my life that are like, I saw this and thought you needed to have it. Or likewise, they did this with my son as well, is that this, I feel, belongs to you. So the other animals that you'll see on this altar, there are quite a few turtles on this altar. There's quite a few frogs on this altar as well. And that actually might be because frogs are typically associated with the fae. It's possible that people give my son frogs because he's like this little fairy child. I'm not really sure. And then I have a lot of elephants on this altar as well. Those are all associated with my son. People just feel that he resonates with the elephant energy. And the other thing that I wanted to point out, this is just a space at a bookshelf that I've turned into an altar space. And a lot of people, when they're starting out in paganism, they do feel that they want to have an altar. I just want to put out there that it doesn't have to be this glamorous thing. It can, this is actually looks a little covert too. This, like if somebody walking by this just would think that I just like animal trinkets. It doesn't necessarily say that it's an altar, a spiritual altar. And I just think that's one of the beautiful things about paganism, is that it's so fluid, it is so adaptable and malleable, is that you can really be creative and put together some really fun and interesting things for yourself. If you like this video, I think that you might also enjoy my video on gratitude, which is another cornerstone element of my personal magical practice. And with that, have a magical day.